Now, welcome to another Let's Talk Some Bad Batch, where this time it is the 12th episode of Season 3, or the one called Juggernaut, that we will be discussing by taking a look and reading and responding to some of the comments left on my review on the other channel. But of course, we will once again start with your ever so brief review of the episode.
I feel like after last week's episode, this was a little bit of a down to me. It's been a roller coaster for the episodes. Like, I liked that they're back to the basics. Here's their action-adventure kind of stuff that Bad Batch is known for. But I just feel like they could have done more. It was just like another gateway episode. Like, this episode led us to Rampart, which Rampart doesn't have the answer, which has to lead us to another answer. Yeah. So they're kind of like, what is it, MacGuffining their way around or something?
I don't know if MacGuffin is the right way, but they're kind of, it feels like they're slow rolling it a little bit here.
We're breadcrumbing our way to
breadcrumbs,
Omega.
yeah. Like, we got another breadcrumb that will lead to another breadcrumb.
It just feels like they're stretching it out a bit. That's all.
Yeah, it did feel... a little. When the episode ended, I was like, that's all? Like, I checked the time right away, because I'm like, was that even 20 minutes? And it was like just a little shy of 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, just needed a little more. It's not a bad episode. It's a good, fun action-adventure episode. We do have Rampart. Ooh, it's good to see him back. And a lot of things are good here, but it just felt like you wanted a little more, especially as we approach the end of the series, not just season.
And I was disappointed with Fee coming back, only because she mentioned Tech again, called him Brown Eyes,
yeah.
But I would have liked a little more of an emotional response out of her. Like, maybe you see a quick pained look on her face or something, or her voice crack a little when she calls him Brown Eyes.
Yeah,
because the
nothing.
pain could maybe still be there, because I thought she had feelings for him.
Yeah, like, I was disappointed in that as well. Like, there was another chance where Fee could have mentioned him and didn't, or kind of did and was kind of...
I thought she called him Tech before because she was almost distancing herself from calling him Brown Eyes, but then when she called him Brown Eyes, I was like, I expected to see maybe some emotions flit across her face, maybe crack when she said that.
Yeah, and just the way she said it was all casual, like he's still alive. Like, oh yeah, any friend of Brown Eyes is a friend of mine. Like, it's like, well, he's dead, so...
Yeah.
Anyway.
I would have liked a little more emotion of that scene.
I think there was a lot of missing emotion in this episode, actually. Mm-hmm. Just that Omega is gone again, and they're kind of like business-like. Like, well, we got to go find Rampart.
The most emotion we got out of the episode was from Emery. Emery?
Yeah, Emery, yeah.
Emery. When you could tell she was reluctant to work on Omega.
Yeah.
And then, when Omega's like, I'm glad you're safe.
Right?
I'm safe. And she's like,
totally.
Maybe not.
Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, those other kids are safe, too.
But anyway, shall we move on to some comments? And once again, start with the top-rated one from my review.
All right, top-rated comment is coming from Night Girl Gaming. I like that the TK troopers were actually pretty competent when boarding the turbo tank. They immediately destroyed the turrets and were about to go inside of the tank when they got shaken off. Also, that one of the gunship pilots destroyed the steering mechanisms. If not for Fee, they would have all been goners. It was nice to see intelligent precision out of troopers.
Only Imperial stormtroopers are so precise.
It's just like in Andor, you have to make them look competent. Because, or else why is anyone really worried about them? Just numbers alone isn't enough.
As I've said before, your heroes can only be as heroic as your villains are cunning and manipulative and just good at, being bad guys, basically.
Right. I
so
agree.
It was nice. And it was Fee who kind of saved the day, right? If not for Fee, they're going off the cliff. And
Yep, they had no steering. They had no...
Yeah.
I don't know if their brakes are out. He just said he had no control, so I assume the brakes must have been out too. That turbo tank was just full going off the cliff.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be something? That's how it ended. They just
Goodbye, guys.
right off the cliff.
And then they made you, stop and breathe for a second. They're like, oh my gosh, is this where we lose Wrecker?
Yeah.
I was like, how dare you?
I think we got a comment about that later, so we'll dive into it then.
Next comment from Clone Scavenger Volpin. The only real disappointment with Season 3 so far is that Echo hasn't been in it as much as the previous seasons. Other than that, it's been good.
Who?
I know. I love Echo. I like it when they put him back in his comma because he's an ARC trooper, and he should be in it.
Who are we talking about?
Echo.
Didn't he, die a couple in Clone Wars? He never came back, did he?
He was around in Season 1.
Was he?
And then he was around for parts of Season 2, and he's like, guys, I gotta work on the big picture stuff. You guys keep babysitting.
That's kind of what he says, isn't it? And in more polite ways, like, I got big picture stuff. You guys just
because the
go
rest of
do
them were
mission
like,
of the
no,
week.
man, our job is to protect Omega. And he's like,
I'm trying to save the galaxy.
We could save all of the clones.
Yeah, I got bigger
like,
fish
yeah,
to
but
fry.
we want to save this clone. I'm like, but all the rest of the clones?
Yeah, it is interesting when you put it that way. They're very focused, and don't get me wrong, they should be their family, right? Mm-hmm. But Echo
all the clones are family.
Yeah, I mean, they do look at each other as brothers and sisters, apparently now, with Emery and Omega and who knows what else out there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
all the clone ladies.
I would love to see Echo. It feels like we got 3 episodes left, and it's like he is going to show up again, right?
I really hope so. I miss Echo.
And are they going to like just bring him back to die?
Then he won't die.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like, well, don't bring him back because then you can't kill him. Because if you bring him back, I feel like he could be a casualty for sure.
You're not wrong.
I don't know. We'll see how it all goes with Echo.
Next comment from Lord Emperor Vader. This episode was a good calm before the storm. I am glad that Rampart did not know Tantiss' location, since Palpatine would find a way for him to be executed if he did know where it was at.
Yeah, I saw a lot of comments pointing out that if Rampart knew that he would be kind of a liability and you wouldn't just put him in random prison colony, you'd kind of off him.
It's just taking too long to find it. The Bad Batch has been looking for Tantiss since Omega was captured initially.
Yeah. Well,
all of the clones have been. Because remember, all of Rex's group's like, yes, we've been looking for Tantiss for a long time. And they didn't find it either.
Well, because you can't. At least they answered that. I'm happy we actually got an answer to why Tantiss is so difficult to find.
It's just taking too long.
I kind of agree and kind of don't, because that's where the culmination of the whole series is. It's going to be on Tantiss, more than likely.
Where we find out that the vault is rigged to explode if their project was compromised.
That's harsh. Those are children.
This is Hemlock. He doesn't see them as children. These are specimens.
You're right. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some kind of self-destruct thing going on there with the kids. Or you just call Vader. We know he can slaughter children pretty well.
Seeing as Project Necromancer is very important to the Emperor, I could see Vader being dispatched to go and take care of a few things.
Vader probably doesn't know it's even there. He's
Vader
probably
likes
in the dark
to kill
on this
younglings,
one.
Though. He'd be all into head there and be like, I'll get rid of the evidence, Master.
Yeah, he'd be like, oh, some of the younglings escaped me. Even though these are not Jedi younglings, but you know what I mean.
No, they have the Force.
Wouldn't matter to him, yeah. I'll still do what must be done.
Next comment from a name I can't pronounce, so I'm going to butcher it anyway. We've got Malachiponix. Sorry.
I think that's it.
Yeah, it's probably not it, but I'm going for it.
Yep, whatever. Sorry.
So, we've been hearing rumors that the next animated show will be about the establishment of the Hidden Path. I can see Omega saving these kids in Tantiss and deciding to keep others from ever being used by Hemlock or the Empire again for experiments, marking the beginning of the movement. My only question is, who would be her partner in this? It's probably Ventress, but I would hope that Crosshair takes up that role.
That is an excellent point about the kids. She's going to, be even more prone to want to help after seeing how these kids are treated, then learning it's the Force, and then maybe she gets the Force herself.
It's a little blood transfusion, yeah.
Yeah, this feels like the path to the path.
It does, but they could just leave her at the end of the path with the kids, like, safeguarding, and Ventress and Quinlan go out on missions to establish.
Could be.
Because I think after the Bad Batch, we've probably seen enough of Omega for a little while.
Yeah, but I think
I would like to see her down the road a little bit more when she's growing up a little bit more. I want a time jump, is what I'm trying to say.
I could see that. Yeah. Well, they could still time jump. I mean, we're only a couple years after Revenge of the Sith. We have the 19-year gap between A New Hope and even Kenobi's 10 years after. So you could take this ahead in 10 years or something to around the time of Kenobi.
I suppose.
And I do think if Crosshair survives, he will be a part of this next show. If he survives, we don't know. I think he will.
I think he might be the most likely to survive right now because he's the most emotionally damaged.
He has definitely been the one that has been built the most, which I don't know if that means he'll be the one to die because he's been built up the most. They're going to give him the tech treatment? Yeah. Or if it's the opposite, we're kind of building him up even more because we want to use him further. It could go either way, I think. But I definitely think if this is the next show or something like this, I do think a few years down the road, you want Omega a little older. And I think Ventress and Crosshair and potentially Quinlan Voss. Maybe a love triangle. That's what we could call it.
No.
Star Wars, the love triangle.
The love path. The path to love. The hidden path to love.
Oh, boy.
Next comment from Roger Palsgrove. I almost thought Wrecker wasn't going to make the jump. That's exactly what I thought. I was like, here we go. You told me you wanted Wrecker to go down in an episode named Juggernaut. Yeah. And you almost got that.
I want one of them to die meaninglessly.
No.
I know that's horrible, but it would have been such a because we're not expecting him to not make that jump, right? As I've said before, Tech was it was set up. You knew Tech. When have we ever followed orders? It's all big. It's all
yes. He got to give his impassioned. I'm going to sacrifice myself.
Exactly, and it impacts you a certain way. But if had Wrecker not made that jump and he just falls, and you're like, wait a minute, did Wrecker just die?
Yeah, that kind of would have been cool, but awful.
Yeah, it's awful, but sometimes you need that awful thing to remind you what the stakes really are and how things can just go south for these guys because they do go mission week after week and they're all coming back, except for Tech that one time. But, to just kind of die frivolously and meaninglessly would be really... It would hit you way different than it hits you when Tech dies.
Yeah.
I know. I'm a horrible person.
Yeah. I mean, compare it to this week's X-Men. Nobody died frivolously in this week's X-Men, but there were deaths.
There were. Oh, my God, yeah. No spoilers, but... Yeah, you kind of just already gave spoilers. But that was...
I said deaths. I didn't say whom.
Yeah.
Or if they were a main character, even.
Yeah, X-Men 97 it's a different level.
They went dark and they went excellent this week.
You were making a pun, weren't you? Yeah. No, I mean, if you haven't been watching it and you're a fan, especially if you're a fan of it back in the day, definitely check it out. It has been really good. And this
week, you're not taking a moment to see what's going on X-Men 97.
This week left both of us kind of just like, what? Like, wow.
Hits you in the feels. It really shows you what the stretch of this is a cartoon show can do.
Yeah, it is cartoon and name only.
Maybe don't watch it with your kids.
No, this is not for kids.
Not
it is for
week.
fans of the old school X-Men or just X-Men in general. It is really good. But anyway, we're talking about the wrong show.
Meh. We talked about the Juggernaut. It's all connected.
Yeah. See, we're talking about Juggernaut.
Yeah.
Nothing stops the Juggernaut except for missing the jump.
Next comment from Strike Flyer. Much like you mentioned, the main problems with this episode are the runtime and Hunter not even mentioning Omega being captured. I was honestly hoping for a bit of a clash between Hunter and Crosshair. They missed a golden opportunity with that to build character. Still a nice action episode that I enjoyed for the most part.
Yeah, I feel like that was one of the times where they could have taken the chance to slow it down a bit.
But they don't feel like they can because they have to race to Omega. We've left her too long already.
I get that, but there was no emotion out of it. Like, Crosshair got upset at Wrecker when Wrecker's like, oh, we lost her again. Why did you let her turn herself in? And he's like, well, dude, like, that was our only choice. But other than that, it was like, well, as I kind of said before, like, business as usual. We got to go save Omega. And at this point, you feel like you want a little more?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't think it was a bad episode by any stretch. It was a good episode, but it feels like they left a lot on the table, if you will, that they could have brought in a little more and just
because it says created by Dave Filoni. We skipped the hard-hitting truth questions because nobody wants to see that. Throw the action.
Well, the weird thing is they have been doing the slower-paced episodes, and they've been really, really good.
But they just seem like this season, they don't want the clones infighting. Despite the fact that they should be having the hard talks because of the fact that Crosshair was gone, Crosshair comes back, Crosshair was possibly withholding a little information because he didn't want to go back to Tantiss. No. He didn't want anyone to go to Tantiss. He knows what goes on at Tantiss. But they just kind of gloss over some of these things.
Yeah, I really feel like they do. I think you're right. I think they don't want too much inner conflict between the clones here. They want them to all be on the same page and the same team going into the finale here. I don't know. Maybe the wrong approach, maybe the right approach. Hard to say. All right, well, I think that is going to be all we got for you this time. So now it is your turn to take to the comments below and tell us what you thought of this episode of The Bad Batch. Did you love it? Did you hate it?
Or X-Men.
Or X-Men, yeah. Let's talk some X-Men. Anyway, take to the comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars or X-Men. And
Juggernaut, it's all related.
And until next time, thanks for watching.